Imagine this. Dawn over Rome, the marble still cool, the forum waking like a beast that never truly sleeps, vendors muttering, sandals scuffing, a rumor running ahead of the sun that Julius Caesar, dictator perpetuo, will appear at the Senate today, and somewhere, somehow, knives are being polished by hands that once clasped his in friendship. Hold that image. Keep listening, because in a few minutes you'll hear the exact whisper that sealed his fate, the gesture that exposed the first blade, and the last word he heard before the world he built collapsed. Yet before we get there, let's rewind and thread the tension tighter, because every great fall begins with a climb, and Caesar's climb is the tallest in Roman memory. The general who crossed the Rubicon with one legion and an iron certainty, the orator who hypnotized crowds, the reformer who bent the calendar, restructured debt, and showered veterans with land, the celebrity whose laurel crown and reserved front-row seats made old nobles seethe, the man who wore mercy as a weapon and ambition as a second skin, adored by the masses for bread and games and the promise of stability, feared by aristocrats who saw, or believed they saw, a crown glinting just behind every honor the Senate heaped on him. Keep that glint in mind. It returns at the worst time. Picture the city as a stage. On one side, Caesar's loyalists, Mark Antony with his volcanic temper, Lepidus calculating, senators who prefer a living son to a storm of civil war. On the other, the conspirators, a chorus of patrician names heavy as stone, Gaius Cassius Longinus, sharp-eyed, jealous, once humiliated when Caesar spared Pompeians Cassius thought deserved death. Decimus Junius Brutus Albinus, a friend and beneficiary of Caesar's favor, clever with soldiers, colder with conscience. And Marcus Junius Brutus, the philosopher's heir, the moral center they craved for the plot's respectability, Caesar's sometime protege, Caesar's sometime pardoned enemy, Caesar's sentimental weak point. If they can bring Brutus in, they'll clothe murder in the toga of virtue. Keep Brutus's hesitation in your pocket, because it holds the hinge of history. The city gossips. Is Caesar aiming for kingship? Did he sit too long in the golden chair at the Lupercalia? When Antony raised a diadem before the roaring crowd, did Caesar refuse it thrice from humility, or tease them to savor the taste of no today and yes tomorrow? Senators count days, not votes. Each new honor feels like a rung up the ladder to monarchy. And Rome tells itself it hates kings, though it loves the power kings wield when they wear the name dictator and deliver peace. In smoky rooms, the plot congeals like cooling blood. They choose a venue, not in the Curia Hostilia, still under repair, but in the Theatre of Pompey, a choice soaked with irony, for Caesar overthrew Pompey the Great, and now will walk into a chamber attached to his rival's monument to be judged by knives instead of motions. They need a pretext to gather many senators. They need a time when Caesar will be unguarded, and they need a man to tug at Caesar's heartstrings if his instinct says do not go. And that man will be Decimus, charming host, faithful on the surface, hollow underneath. The night before, omens erupt like sparks. A storm rattles the city. A soothsayer's warning, beware the Ides of March, still echoes from a previous crowd. And Calpurnia, Caesar's wife, wakes from nightmares of his statue spurting blood in 100 streams, while Romans wash their hands in it. She implores him to stay home, and for a moment the lion rests. He agrees to send word postponing the Senate session, a decision that could have rewritten the day. But keep your eye on the door, because Decimus will arrive with the old Roman conic for doubt, ridicule. The Senate waits upon you, Caesar. The men will scoff that the great dictator is ruled by dreams, by a woman's fear. He sprinkles honor and shame with equal skill, till Caesar's pride outweighs Calpurnia's dread, and the destiny that knocked once is invited in. Meanwhile, in the porticos, Antony hears whispers with a soldier's ear and shifts toward the theater. Meanwhile, a certain Artemidorus has written a letter naming names, a paper packed with salvation, and he positions himself along Caesar's route to press it into imperial hands. Hold that letter in your mind. It will brush Caesar's fingers and fall like a rescued life not rescued. Now the procession, lictors bearing fasces, clients and friends, senators forming a river of white togas. Caesar strides, the crowd's hum swelling. A man calls, "Read mine first, Caesar, it concerns you, alone, you." But Caesar smiles, stacks the scroll among petitioners' pleas. "I will read it in the Senate." And the last and best alarm clock for a life about to end stays silent. Inside the portico of Pompeii, the conspirators take positions like wolves around a bull. Signal agreed. Julius will present a petition to recall his exiled brother. They'll close in under cover of supplication. Then steel will speak. Imagine the room. Light slanting off polished floors, statues witnessing what laws fail to prevent, the curial chair awaiting Caesar like a throne in everything but name. Senators rise, a simulacrum of respect. The first loop closes. Remember the Lupercalia crown? Because as Caesar sits, they surround him in a ring not of laurel, but of the old republic's fear. Timber begins. Caesar refuses. The law is the law. Timber clutches Caesar's toga, a breach of decorum so shocking it freezes the room for a heartbeat. "This is violence," Caesar cries, and in that intake of breath, Casca strikes, awkwardly, a shallow cut in the neck. Caesar turns, seizes Casca's arm. "Villain, what do you?" And then the storm breaks. Blades flash like schooling fish. Cassius lunges, Decimus lunges, elite after elite dives forward, eyes wild, lips thin, each eager to leave his mark, as if to prove loyalty to the cause, as if sharing guilt could dilute it. Caesar staggers, slips on blood, fights to rise, face contorting from shock to comprehension to something like weary acceptance. The last loop snaps shut. Brutus appears, and Caesar's spirit collapses before his body does. Kaisu teknon? The sources debate the words, but the meaning is clear. You too, child? Or more simply, you too, Brutus? And with that, the fight leaves him. He pulls his toga over his head to fall decently at the foot of Pompey's statue, a bedbeth placed by fate beneath a rival's gaze, and the most powerful man in Rome becomes the most fragile object in it. A bleeding body, 40-odd wounds, only one fatal, each senator staggering back, hands slick with the ink of their deed, faces blood-splattered like masks at a macabre festival. Outside, the city holds its breath, then screams. Rumor outruns truth. The tyrant is slain, some shout. The father of Rome has been butchered, others howl. Panic boils the streets, shops slam shutters, mothers drag children indoors, slaves rush to masters for instruction, soldiers finger their hilts, and across the square Mark Antony, warned too late, flees in disguise, because the conspirators had planned to keep him outside, distracted with talk, and the balance of force hangs on a thread. Inside again, the assassins raise their blades and shout liberty, but feel the cold draft of miscalculation. They have killed a man. They have not killed his power, nor his memory, nor his legions, nor his will. Literally his will, which will be read to show the people their champion remembered them with money and parks, salt in the wound of the liberator's rhetoric. They expected acclamation. They receive an earthquake. Decimus urges at strength. Cassius proposes they march through the streets with bloody daggers held high. Brutus insists on calm, speeches, amnesty, a performance of principle over savagery, yet every heartbeat widens the gap between theory and mob. Pause the chaos and loop back to motives. Envy, yes, but also ideology. Some truly believed Rome had traded its liberty for the comfort of one man's certainty. They saw the Republic as a set of rituals and balances that outlived any general, and they imagined that by cutting the head, the body would remember how to walk. Instead, by severing the head, they spuked the limbs. In a world where the masses loved Caesar for tangible benefits, killing him looked less like surgery and more like vandalism. The body lies cooling. Antony returns with flank guard and calculation, seeking peace, then leverage. A tense compromise emerges, amnesty for the killers, honors maintained for Caesar.
a thin bandage on a severed artery. Days pass, the funeral approaches, and here the plot's final turn blossoms like fire from oil. In the forum, the crowd throngs, Caesar's corpse, or vax effigy for display, bears the wounds for all eyes. Antony mounts the rostra and unfolds the will, his voice now a blade honed for vengeance. He points to each wound by name, by hand. This was the unkindest cut. He lifts the toga, shows the mangled torso, calls on love, on pity, on rage, on the parks and coin bequests Caesar left them. The temperature spikes, the crowd howls for justice. The assassins' dream of gratitude dissolves into a stampede towards their houses. A pyre ignites spontaneously, flames lick the forum where Caesar's memory will smolder for years.